The following video is making commentary on material under fair use of copyright law of 1976. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS Legacy. The sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. A black female therapist, Shabri Rawls, was fired from her job after making a viral TikTok video where she demanded black men go to therapy. Now, in this 2-minute video, your Shabri Rawls went on a rant where she just castigated and verbally abused black men, demanding that they go to therapy to work out their issues. However, the way she spoke in the video showed that your Miss Rawls needed to get some psychotherapy herself. Now, this 2-minute video is extremely unprofessional, and it would not incentivize any black man to go out here and get any sort of psychotherapy, because if the psychotherapist is acting in an Arkham certified way like Miss Rawls was acting, this would not motivate anyone to go out here and get help. In fact, if anything, the way this woman was acting would incentivize somebody to ask her to go get some help for herself. Now, I'm going to show you this video of this woman and show you how unprofessional her behavior is.
I fucking love it here. First off, y'all bitches is smart. This is the exact Blah. The comment says, I wish men would understand that emotional intelligence is so important because of how much clarity/security it would bring to your lives. Y'all think bitches just be talking in y'all ear just to be fucking talking. We don't. Y'all think bitches just want to argue with you.
Now, your Shabri Rawls looks like she needs therapy because she has the audacity to say that black men need to get their mental house in order when it's clear that she needs a maid to get her house in order. Now, she's sitting here in a home where all of these clothes and things are just completely strewn about, not really seeing how optically bad she looks, talking about how black men need to go to therapy, and not looking at the disheveled state of her home. Because a woman's home is a reflection of her, and when a woman's home is out of order, it clearly shows that this woman is completely out of order herself. And when I look at the unprofessional behavior that your Shabri Rawls participates in this video, it shows me that she has no business trying to tell black men to go to therapy because she clearly needs some help herself. She's making this video in a disheveled home in some sort of off-the-shoulder top and shorts that don't match, that look like pajama bottoms, and she's talking about how black men need help when she's the one who, as I see it, really needs help herself, because any professional who wants to try to help black men like myself, we're going to go out here and talk to those black men in a way that makes it where we can be seen as credible and serious. Now, I don't really wear shirts and ties when I go out here to do my videos talking about men's issues or talking about my books like The Man Crisis, but when I look at your Shabri Rawls, she's a textbook example of 2 of my books. She looks like one of the 70% of black women who I talk about in Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, and she also looks like a woman in crisis, like I talk about in my upcoming book, The Woman Crisis, because only a woman in crisis is going to have the arrogance to come on screen in skimpy clothes and then want to talk about how black men need help, when it's again looking like she's the one who's in need of a therapist. And she doesn't really understand that if you want people to take you seriously, then you have to present yourself in a manner that shows us that you are somebody I can talk to in a serious manner. The way she was approaching black men was trying to copy the approaches of a Kevin Samuels, and it looks like to me she wanted to try to emulate the approaches that the late Kevin Samuels used on black women, and she wanted to try to use this viral TikTok video as a springboard, as a way to creating a platform for herself, like the late Kevin Samuels did. However, the late Kevin Samuels, when he went out here and made his videos, his gimmick was putting on a tailored suit and setting a tone, and the tone that he was setting was supposed to make people feel comfortable, but there's nothing here about Shabri Warrels that makes you feel comfortable in her presence, and her whole approach just comes across as extremely hostile. Now, as your Shabri Rawls is start making her video, she just comes across as abrasive and just comes across as really rude. And this is not an approach that you use that if you want to persuade a black person to go get some counseling, because if you go out here and you're attacking a person, what they're going to do is get defensive, and that's what your Shabri Rawls did with black men, was make them defensive as she tried to demand that they go to therapy. But when I listen to her talking points, she really shows me she really doesn't know much about therapy, and I'm going to go in depth on this as I take apart her arguments.
Because y'all refuse to expand your emotional vocabulary. We don't. It's to provide clarity for both us and y'all dusty bitches. Let me stop.
Now, Ms. Rawls goes on to talk about emotional vocabulary, and the whole concept of emotional vocabulary is diametrically opposed to the way God made men. Now, a man is a logical being, and a woman is an emotional being. And to have a man be having an emotional vocabulary is something that he doesn't have, because he processes things through logic and reason. It is women who process things on emotion and feelings. So a man going out here and having an emotional vocabulary is not going to be the way he communicates. Moreover, an emotional vocabulary is not something that would benefit a man during an argument, because when women get emotional, they go into a circular argument. And it doesn't matter how much emotional words you use when you're communicating with a woman, she will just have you going in a circle as you go back and forth. And once you disengage from that woman, what she will do is going into shaming language. So an emotional vocabulary is not going to benefit a man in communicating with a woman who is in her feelings, because if she's in her feelings, she's going to just go out here and continue to go back and forth with you without ever hearing a single word that you have to say. So this therapist, again, really seems like she, even though she's got a degree, really doesn't know how to apply her skills. She's sitting here talking about a point that really does not work with men, because if you understand how men communicate, again, if you come to a man with logical talking points, you'll be able to get him to understand what you're saying. But if you approach him with feelings, what he's going to do is get defensive, and you're not going to get anywhere with that man. So she's sitting here talking about emotional words, not understanding that what causes the rift between men and women is that you have a man trying to present facts with logic and reason, and women try to present things with feelings, but feeling words don't have an effect, because when a woman gets in her feelings, again, she's not going to stop going around in a circle until the man shuts it down.
This shit really truly irks me, because when I say you need to expand your emotional vocabulary, it's so your life can be easier. Don't you want to be able to communicate with your bitch? I think yes, right?
Now, as Ms. Rawls goes on, she just shows us that her whole talking point about emotional vocabulary is just a complete fallacy. And it's a complete fallacy because here we have a woman who wants men to go out here and use their so-called emotional words, but she's showing us that emotional words would have no effect when you're dealing with an emotional female who is so caught up in her feelings that she really cannot hear herself or see how her behavior is making a situation fall completely apart. Now, she's sitting here talking about how it'll help you be able to communicate better with your woman. But when we look at this woman, we see a woman who is just like I talked about, going into the histrionics and also going into the point where she's getting ready to go into the circular argument. And when you have a woman like this, you cannot go out here and use any words to communicate with her because she's, again, so caught up in her feelings that she can't hear you at all. So she's sitting here talking about how it will make things better, but the irony is, by her behavior, she's showing you that she's making things worse as related to things, and showing us that her whole approach to therapy would not be beneficial to a black man.
Long gone are the days where you can just shut down. Bitches is not tolerating that. Like, it used to be where men provided financially or with schmeat, and bitches can make their own self come and we can pay for our own shit. So I'm gonna need y'all to catch up on the emotional part. If a bitch is telling you, I need you to communicate more, open your fucking mouth. But you know what I realized? And let me back up. A common
Now, your Shabri Rawls wants to talk about long gone are the days where black men would shut down. However, her behavior is the kind of behavior that leads to black men shutting down because there's no way that they can communicate with an emotional woman who is completely out of control. So, what most people do in situations when they are being verbally abused is they go out here and they shut down because there's no way that they can communicate with this person because they are completely out of control. Now, when I look at Shabri Rawls' behavior all throughout this video, it comes across as extremely arrogant, extremely condescending, and she talks to black men like a child, and the way she's talking about black men is one that just basically shuts down all communication, because what man would want to sit here and be talked to like a child? And this is the problem with your Shabri Rawls and many other black females out there. They believe that they can go out here and look down on a black man, condescend to a black man, and mistreat a black man, and he's just supposed to sit here and take it like a child. And again, when I listen to her, she sounds like many of the single moms out here who just go out here and castigate their sons and literally try to break those boys down mentally to the point where there's basically nothing in their spirits at all. This type of the way she was talking is the same thing that winds up driving men to shut down, and it makes men want to walk away from her because she just basically is just so hostile and so nasty that you can't get help from this person because this person has no understanding of how to just go out here and listen to the other person, because that's basically what so-called therapy is all about. It's about listening to the other person and helping them get the help that they need. How can you get help from this kind of woman? That's the critical question I want to ask, because I don't see how you can get help from a woman who is this hostile and this just this nasty, and just sits there and says, oh, this is why black men are shutting down and you can't shut down anymore. Who are you to tell a black man what to do with himself? And again, coming across as domineering and just like many of these black single moms, thinking a black man is a child. But I go in depth on this in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, and this is textbook behavior like I talk about in Why 70% of Black Women Are Single.
Misconception about me as a clinician is that 90% of my clientele have been men. Black men specifically. And what we specifically work on is expanding their emotional vocabulary, because a lot of y'all motherfuckers don't even have the words to express how you're feeling. So when you expand your vocabulary and knowledge of what you are experiencing, because y'all are human beings who experience feelings and emotions, and don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all ain't had to choke that shit down since 2016. Anyway, if y'all are not in therapy, expanding your emotional vocabulary, your life just off top is going to be more difficult. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you expand your awareness of yourself. When you expand your emotional vocabulary, you understand how you can navigate in this bitch. This fucking weird ass world that is so hard on y'all. Like, let's acknowledge that the world is very difficult for y'all, but y'all are not making it any easier, bruh. You're not. When bitches are telling y'all to go to therapy, it's not for us, it's for y'all sad motherfuckers. Go to therapy, talk about that shit that's on your chest. You don't have to choke that shit down no more. Y'all are doing a disservice to y'allself. And so let me sum this shit up. Y'all told bitches to elevate our standards. And at the cost of us elevating y'all standards, y'all got axed because y'all didn't elevate either. Bitches are not tolerating emotional abuse, emotional neglect. Step it up. Go talk to somebody. Go expand your emotional vocabulary so your life can be better, bitch. All right. Go in peace.
Now, I find it interesting that Shabri Rawls is demanding that black men go to therapy at the end of the video, when you look at the way she presented herself, it doesn't give a black man incentive to go to therapy at all. I mean, why would a black man want to go to therapy after listening to a so-called therapist who is dressed unprofessionally, standing in the middle of a sloppy apartment, and then verbally abusing and castigating them using profanity? That's not the optic that a professional would use to try to motivate somebody to go to therapy. No, that's the kind of optic that would wind up turning off black men as related to going out here and getting some help for whatever issues they're dealing with. Because when the therapist, again, looks like they're in a worse state than you are, then what incentive do you have to go out here and go get help from someone who looks like they need help themselves? Now, in the aftermath of this viral TikTok video where Ms. Rawls went out here and dressed inappropriately, stood in a sloppy apartment and used profanity, it wasn't black men who called her out. No, it was actually black women who called her out. Now, this goes back to a point that the brother of logic and common sense talked about as related to black women looking to protect black men to keep them from embarrassing themselves. And when these black women saw this therapist acting like this and attacking black men, they decided to protect the brothers by calling this woman out, because this woman was extremely unprofessional in her behavior, and they didn't want to see another black man torn down by a woman who wants to be a black man's mama and not a professional counselor hoping to provide sage advice. So many of those black women, they went out here, found out who this woman was, then they went out here and found out where she worked, and then what they did was call and demand that this woman be terminated. And after this woman wound up losing her job, all because of the unprofessional behavior she participated in. However, she does not want to take any sort of accountability or responsibility for her behavior, and that is shown to us in a follow-up video.
Well, hello. It's your friendly neighborhood therapist who thought she could save these hoes, but got her job terminated as a result. Story time? I think yes. Shit you not, I posted a video on Monday telling men that their dusty behavior is only harming them and that they would benefit from emotional intelligence, and I shit you not, by Friday, didn't have employment. All of this started with a Psychology Today article stating that men are lonelier than ever because they have no fucking emotional skills. And I agreed and doubled down and told y'all that y'all lives would radically improve if you expanded the shit that came out your mouth. But instead of healing, y'all will do anything but that. Instead of being accountable, like, hey, this bitch see me, and stirred a little bit, y'all got so hurt that you contacted mass.
Now, at the start of this video, in the aftermath of her being fired, your Shabri Rawls throws black women under the bus for allegedly betraying her. And what she doesn't see, that what got her fired wasn't that the points she was making. No, what got her fired was her condescending tone and her just arrogant attitude. That's what got her fired. And the way she was talking at people was not conducive the way somebody in counseling is supposed to talk to people. Now, in counseling, it's 90% listening and 10% talking. But this woman, the way she was talking in this video, was like she was the one who had all of the answers, and that's unprofessional as I see it. And when I listened to her talking about that Psychology Today article and how there were all of these lonely single men, again, she shows me that she really does not understand the issues that black men are going through, because that Psychology Today article was riddled with a lot of errors, because the person who wrote it clearly did not do their research, and she's going to go along with an article where a guy like me who has been writing about men's issues for years could easily poke holes in that article, basically using simple facts like the US Census, which tells us that there are more women than men, and could also tell you that this guy's whole thesis was completely skewed because he talked about men on online dating when most men out here do not use online dating at all. No, most men out here, they can go out here and approach women, and most of those men know how to use words, because if a man has a mouthpiece, then he knows how to use words to communicate with women. So that also shoots another hole into her argument where she's talking about emotional intelligence. No, the only males who have these sort of issues are these incels and these beta males. And she's sitting here trying to tell us, oh, these men have no emotional intelligence and don't know how to use emotional words. And again, men don't use emotions when they're presenting themselves. No, they use logical talking points. So she's sitting here angry about being fired and ironically showing us why she isn't fit to be a therapist.
That's exactly what happened. So first the post goes viral on Twitter, cause y'all need fucking help. And y'all wanted to argue with bitches blue till they fucking blue in the face. Some of you hoes is not gonna be saved. And that's the conclusion that I've come to. So because this shit's gone viral, I'm thinking, okay, cool, we starting a discussion on mental health, and you might not like my fucking delivery, but motherfuckers is starting to talk, shaking the tables, I don't give a fuck. But then it turns into this entire crusade of attacking a black woman who serves the fucking black community. There were comments like, I'm gonna find her credentials and report her, cause I told y'all to be better? Yeah, y'all are fucking weird. Y'all scream that y'all want to protect women, protect black women specifically, but have done nothing to protect this black woman who has been serving the communities. I have been violated in several areas, and I'm gonna outline each one. This article was written by a fucking black woman, putting my full government and my place of employment. So being doxxed by a black woman can't fake, kind of fucking hurts, and she never once reached out to me or contacted me so I could spend my side of the story. This is the article that spooked my fucking job and got me fired. Not only does she not have any regard for my safety, many other articles have been written as a result. Here are a few of them, just to name a few. Black Twitter has words for therapists scolding men to go to fucking therapy. Y'all attacked me and got mad at me because I wanted better for y'all. That's the most crab in the barrel bucket type bullshit I've ever heard in my fucking life. A plethora of black men decided to take it upon themselves to call my employment to get me fired. You succeeded, but you succeeded in not the way that you think. If it's one thing about black women is that we're incredibly resilient. This just cleared the table to give me space and opportunity to educate the masses while shaking our asses to healing because y'all got mad because I wanted you to do better. I was told they consulted with shareholders and decided to terminate my contract because I told y'all to go to therapy. That's the world we live in.
As the video goes on, Shabri Rawls continues to rant, and she refuses to take a single iota of accountability for her behavior. Typical female behavior as I see it, because a lot of females out here, whenever they get caught doing something, they want to blame somebody else. And what Ms. Rawls does is she tries to blame another black female who wrote a response article regarding her unprofessional behavior. Now, this black female, as I see it, was doing what was right because as we look at the extremely unprofessional behavior, you would want to see a therapist like this reported because their behavior is extremely off code. Because again, a psychotherapist is supposed to be sensitive to the needs of the people they are serving, and they are supposed to present a professional manner as they communicate with individuals. When we look at Ms. Rawls' behavior, again, it is extremely arrogant, extremely condescending, downright rude, and yet she's upset about being fired. But if I had an office and I was dealing with clients, I would have to terminate this woman because her conduct and behavior are unbecoming of the image of a professional office. And again, you making a TikTok video attacking people who would be possible clients, that doesn't give anybody incentive to come to you for counseling. I mean, I look at the behavior of Ms. Rawls, and it is just, again, some of the worst I have seen. And again, she, after participating in all this behavior, wants to make it, oh, it's the fault of black women and the fault of the black community, when you wouldn't have been jammed up had you gone out here and not made this video. Because if you're, oftentimes now, when I make videos, I sometimes think twice before I present content out here, because I know how some people out here are. Now, I've had to deal with my own issues with black men as related to the whole passport drama back in 2019, and that has made me give pause as related to making certain videos, because certain individuals out here, I know how they can't take content, and that's even with a pleasant manner and trying to present facts to some individuals. I know some in the black community can get really emotional over certain subjects, but when it comes to the case of this therapist, she truly shows us that she is not a person who understands the concept of professionalism. She does not understand the concept of going out here and serving the customer. No, she does not have respect for her clients, because the way she was talking to her potential clients is just not the way a professional does. I mean, the way she was sitting here attacking black men and verbally abusing black men, this is not the way you can help a person heal. No, all this does is cut open wounds many black men have had as related to dealing with their mothers in the past, because a lot of black mothers were verbally abusive like this, a lot of black mothers were condescending like this, and they participated in this emotional and out of control behavior. And this does not go out here and facilitate a relationship where a man wants to go out here and try to communicate better with a woman. No, when you go out here and attack another man, attack a man, what incentive does he have to go out here and want to talk to you? That's a critical question I would like to ask Ms. Rawls, who wants to demand black men go to therapy. No, you don't demand a man go to therapy. You ask him and you break down the issues that that man is having. Now, as somebody, again, who writes men's issues, I had real serious issues with the way Ms. Rawls carried and conducted herself, because as a guy out here who wants to help black men, I go out here and try to present things in my books where they're easy to read so a man can understand logically about the issues he's dealing with. And then what I also do is with books like The Man Crisis and Stop Simping, I break it down so that anybody can easily understand, okay, this is what's going wrong as with what you're doing as a black man, and this is why you're not getting a result. See, I'm following a logical progression here. Okay, you have a problem. This approach isn't working. Let's and this is an approach that will help you correct course. And what happens is, with my men's issues books, many men come out of books like Stop Simping and The Man Crisis, and they're able to go out here and navigate the world a lot better than they would if they were to go see a so-called therapist like this. No, when people go pick up one of my books, like The Man Crisis, Stop Simping in cyberspace, Stop Simping in the workplace, those men start heading on the road to healing, and they head on the road to healing because the information I'm giving them helps them easily understand, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong, this isn't working, this is how I can go about doing things. And the men go out here, they follow the approaches I put in these books, and they understand. And what's even more interesting is that many black women will go out here and buy these books for their sons, and they will go out here and get the book for their son because they see that the book has helped other black men, and that book has helped transform their lives. And I've also had an impact on black women out here where I've helped them with books like Why 70% of Black Women Are Single. A lot of sisters came into that book on the defensive, thinking I was attacking them. However, when they came out of the book, they started to understand why they were single and why the approaches they were using weren't working towards helping them be able to work and function in a relationship. So when I listen to this woman sitting here verbally abusing black men, attacking black men, just being cruel to black men, it just really made me shake my head, because this is not good this is not therapy. It doesn't help anyone. All it does is hurt people. And this woman looks like she just wants to browbeat and just break a black man into submission. And therapy is not about breaking a black man into submission. It's about helping that black man connect with his woman, get closer to his woman, and be able to form bonds with his woman. But if you go out here and are talking about, oh, black men can't communicate, and you're communicating in the very same way that makes black men go silent, you're not helping anything. So when I look at this woman, she really shows me that she doesn't know anything about how to help anyone. All she's doing is sitting there being more of a hindrance, because you're presenting the image of a black woman that is the main reason why those black men get turned off. And you're presenting an image of black womanhood that just alienates black men from wanting to have relationships with black women. I mean, if your therapist is just as hostile as the women in the street and acting just as masculine and aggressive as the women in the street, then why should that man communicate with you? Again, critical question that I have to ask as related to this so-called therapist, who again shows me that she's Arkham certified and clearly needs therapy herself, because this is not how you talk to a man. I mean, again, you're talking in a condescending, arrogant way. And what's sad is she's sitting here, even after being fired, being indignant, still continuing to double down on a position that has cost her, showing us that, oh, for all of your emotional words, you don't see how you can't understand how there's logical sequences like cause and effect, and you want to blame other people, saying, oh, it's those black women who did this to me. No, take accountability for yourself, because it was your video that went out here and turned all of these people to go out here and respond by reporting you, because your unprofessional behavior is just something that anybody would report, not just black women. I mean, if I saw a therapist verbally abusing and browbeating someone like this woman was, I would have to report that person, because that behavior goes against the codes and standards that psychotherapists have to follow. I mean, there are rules and standards as related to a job, and when you go on a job, you're supposed to present yourself in a professional manner when you're representing a company. Now, she was supposed to represent that company, but she took her job for granted, and because she took her job for granted, she thought, oh, I can go out here and just flaunt my degrees and flaunt my job like many black women do. And when she did this, she thought, oh, they're not going to do anything to me, not understanding you represent your company when you're out here on places like social media. And when you're on a place like social media, you have to go out here and maintain your professionalism. And she did not do that in that first video, where she's standing there basically in her drawers and going out here and in that disheveled apartment. Just, this is not a good look. And she wants to blame black women for this. No, this is all her fault. And sadly, this woman is so caught up in herself, she can't see how she hurt her own self. And she wants to say, oh, it's about helping black men. No, it wasn't about helping black men. It was about an arrogant, condescending woman who thought she knew better than black men. And sadly, now still thinks she continues to know better than black men. Well, I have to say this to Shabri Rawls: if you're so smart, then go out here and start your own counseling business, and also go out here and write a couple of books for black men, like I did, that actually help black men, because I've gone out here and written books that help black men get their lives in order. But it looks like you are completely out of order, and you're completely out of control. And what's happening with your Shabri Rawls is typical of most black women. They go out here, they act crazy, don't want to take no responsibility, and then when everything falls apart, it's somebody else's fault. But the reason why Shabri Rawls lost her job is looking her in the mirror. Now, if you want to get some help for many of the issues that black men have, you can pick up many of my men's issues books, like Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, Manginas, The Misadventures of Captain Save 'Em, The Man Crisis, and Why Stop Simping in the Workplace and Stop Simping in Cyberspace. All of those books are available for brothers on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. They're also available on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And sisters, if you want to learn why you're single, you can pick up my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find it on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. And if you want to see me do more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Horror of a Hyena Woman. Hell's Aspiring Angel takes on a wicked werewolf in this action-packed all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Horror of a Hyena Woman in paperback and e-readers today.